Greetings and blessings, everyone. James Thomas Devitt. This is going to be under the pseudonym, if you will, of the Blue Star Temple Spiritual School of Illumination. I think we all try and work through different things in our heads. And when we do that, we get little inspirations. And I had one here just recently that I wanted to share with everyone. And it's called the key theory. Now, the purpose of all of these videos that I do is very simple. It is to help get people to think. It is to help people on their path, to give them a different perspective, to give them information that maybe they haven't thought about before, to give them information to discern and to move forward with. And so we're going to start this one actually with Catherine Tilby. Bit of a novice question, a bit cheeky. You are right, guides can pop up at any time. And they can put, make their appearance in any way that you wish. There's a story of Hal that I've told before in video. He definitely, I guess it would probably create too much of a conversation, but he definitely wasn't born into this life, and he didn't die from this life. He was here for a short amount of time to give me a message. Sometimes when they appear to you, or you feel them and they're like a 7-foot giant, they're really trying to get your attention, and it may be a situation that this guide presents themselves as just an everyday person to you, but they really wanted your attention, so they came to you in a different manner, a different way to really get your attention. It is important to tune in and to ask who they are, why they are here. Don't complicate it, and don't go too much into your mind. Just ask the question and allow it to come to you. Now, the key theory. The key theory is amazing to me. It really is. It gives me a great deal more understanding of our path and of what we're doing and the road that we're traveling. So I'm very excited to share this theory. So I want you to imagine you're sitting on a bench, and you're sitting there, and it's kind of in a small grove in a forest, and you've been sitting there a while, and there's some other people sitting around as well, and you're waiting, and a being comes, and he's got robes on and everything, and he walks up to you and says, follow me. And you go with him, and he says, now we're going to send you into this life. You're going to be on a mission. And your mission is to discover the secret. And of course you're like, ooh, cool, an adventure. What's the secret? That's for you to discover. Let's just say it's your lifetime mission. And he hands you a scroll. And on this scroll basically says what he's just told you, but it also has your instructions. Your instructions are as follows. You are going to go to a castle. Your job is to explore the castle, learn everything you can from every aspect of the castle. And when you finally reach the top of the castle, you will discover the secret. You're like, cool. And you grab your scroll and away you go. Please understand that I'm making this a lot more theatrical than it really should be. Sometimes when we gain insight and awareness, we look for the easiest way to convey that. Most of the people that I've met in my life like castles and adventures, and so you go through the forest, you're on your path, and you're walking, and all of a sudden you come to this massive clearing. There in front of you, just like the guy said, this big, huge castle. Now, in truth, this castle represents your life. Now, you're looking at the scroll again before you proceed, and you notice down at the bottom some fine print. Now, before you left, you were handed a bag, and you can't really make out the fine print. So you look in the bag, and whoa, there's a magnifying glass. Cool, and you're looking at it. And the fine print says, whether you complete this task or not, there's no judgment. How fast or how slow you complete this task, there's no judgment. If you don't complete this task in the allotted time, you may continue in the next cycle or next incarnation, if you will. And you're like, all right, I can deal with that. I can live with that. That's good. Yeah. So you notice a sign above, in front of you. Hold on. Heard a noise. No idea. Anyway, so you see a sign, in front of you, and you walk to the sign. In order to proceed, please find the key. That's all it says. So you explore, you experience, you do what you need to do. Sooner or later, you come across, you find the key. When you find the key, you go up to the front door of the castle, put the key in, turn it, door opens. You walk in to the entryway of the castle, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. And you're looking at the paintings, and you're looking at the books, and you're looking at the different things in there. And all of a sudden you realize, wow, these are truths. This is information that's going to help me on my path. Then you see a door. And on the door is a little sign, and it says, find the key. So you have to look around. You have to, Sooner or later, you find the key, and you go up to the door, and you put it in, and you unlock the door, and you go. There's only one key, so it's not like, you find a key and you put it in, and it's like, it doesn't work. No. There's only one key for each section. Now you go into the next room, and it's like, you go, whoa, wait a minute, whoa. Now these things are all still the same. These truths are all still the same. But now these over here, they're different from what was in the last room. What's going on? How could a truth not be a truth? That's the key. That's one key. How can a truth not be a truth? You discover that as you're going from room to room, there are some things that are true no matter what room you're in, no matter what floor you're on, no matter what level you attain. But that some truths are only true on a particular level or in a particular room. It's true in that room, but not in another room. It's kind of a paradox, wouldn't you say? So what does this mean? Simple. Something that I've learned as we learn different lessons along the way. Sorry, just got my coffee. I need to turn on the charger. You can't be rigid in your beliefs, in your truth. You need to be fluid. I was reminded recently of a being named Rajni. Now, Rajni, I've mentioned him before. He was the first being I ever heard channeled, and that was March of 1989. So what, 27 years ago this month in Tacoma, Washington. And I remember him saying, don't accept what I say as absolute truth. Discern within your heart. If it resonates, follow it, explore it, experience it, see where it leads you. If it doesn't, don't judge it, put it on a shelf, throw it away, don't worry about it. And then this next part is what clicked the other day for me. If it is something you require later on, it will come back around. And so what I was thinking was, okay, Rajni said, if it doesn't resonate, if it's not true, if it doesn't feel true, put it on a shelf, throw it away, don't judge it, just let it go. But if it's something you need later on, it'll come back around for you. So that would mean that in the moment it may not be true, but when you move into the next room, it might be. With each room you explore, with each room you go through, there are challenges, there are deceptions, there are trials, there are all sorts of things. There is amazing things and disturbing things and everything else. Then you find the door, and the sign on the door is, please find the key. And you've learned by this time that the key you need is in this room. But the key might be in a box. The key might be in a phrase. The key might be a look from somebody that evokes a particular feeling within you, a recognition, if you will. So the key can be within anything. Hence the reason it is important to be conscious, to be aware. And you see, if you don't find the key, if you keep walking by the key without seeing it, then your guides get involved and they're like, oh, come on, man, can't you see it there in front of you? Damn! So they do things. They push you in certain directions. They bring people into your life to do things that sometimes annoy the hell out of you, sometimes inspire you, sometimes confuse you. But it's all trying to push you to find the key. And you find the key finally. Oh. And you put it in, you turn the door, into the next room you go, and you're like, oh man, not again. And then you get all this new truth, and you feel amazing, and you feel inspired, and you feel like, you know, you got the answers finally. You finally found the secret. Damn, there's another door. I gotta find another key. Doesn't seem to end. Doesn't seem to stop. Some people can say, oh, there's lessons you're learning, things that you know. I want you to think about something for a moment. In the videos, the two videos I did on light workers and star seeds and native humans, volunteers, it is my truth that there are two kinds of humans on this planet. Native humans, volunteers. If you are a volunteer, I am going to tell you now. There's not really a lesson for you to learn, per se. You've learned the lessons, you've ascended in the past. You've walked the path on a planet that was evolving, growing, just as this one is. You've been there, done that. This is a different planet. This is a different situation. You know. What you fail to realize, I think, sometimes is that every time an individual has an aha moment, every time an individual finds their secret, every time a person steps forward and finds a new truth, finds a new way of acting, a new way of being, a new way of interacting with other people, all of these things, this goes into the collective unconsciousness. And what's the purpose of that? For the native human population, because they're the ones evolving. We, as volunteers, are the ones here to assist them in their evolution. But things here are changing dramatically. And as such, we get open to new things. Many years ago, I wanted to do some spiritual work at a center. And what they do is different in many ways to what I do or what I did back then. And I had no problem with what they did. You know, whatever works, whatever is beneficial to people, that's all that matters. But they were very judgmental, and they were very adamant that it had to be their way. You know, that there was no room for anything else, that it was closed off, if you will. And then they said, well, okay, we'll let you have some fun, but you're going to have to go with the beginners. angry, really frustrated and angry, because I'm like, I've been channeling beings, higher dimensional beings, for over 20 years, and you're saying I have to go play with people who have just started? And recently, looking back at that, because I'm working to go into a couple of different areas that tried once before, didn't work out, as well as other areas that have been coming to me to do. And I've realized that back then I was too rigid. I was too focused on thinking I knew everything that I needed to know. And I realized that at the end of the day, it's not about how I personally do things. Because how I do things is how I do them. And I do things that I feel are really amazing, and the people that I do things for, in this realm, like the scrolls that I do, the healing sessions that I do, the Skype sessions, doing readings at the spiritual fair in Palmerston North last weekend. People tell me that it makes a difference for them. Key. It's not about how I do things. How I do things is very unique and amazing. And it is amazing. I am the only person on the entire planet that does personal Akashic scrolls. I developed it. And it is amazing. And people that I've done them for, the feedback that I've gotten from them is that it's really made a difference for them. And I've been getting people coming back going, you did a scroll for me last year, I would like a new one for this year, because the message from Spirit is going to be different, because it's, or having a lady sit in front of me whose husband passed away just after Christmas from pancreatic cancer. And I'm sitting there, and I'm not a medium, okay? I don't generally interact in the near realms, but I went with the intent that I was going to do whatever reading they needed to benefit them, whatever it might be. So I actually did 4 different kinds of readings over the course of the readings that I did on that day. And the amazing thing was, I knew I had to let her know that he was with her. And I didn't know how I was going to do that because I'm not a medium. That's not my forte. And Spirit kept saying, look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. And I'm like, what the hell? Look in the mirror. And I looked to my right where Janice was sitting. And she was doing tarot readings. And I come back and I look at this beautiful lady who you could see the pain and the grief in her eyes, her face. I heard again, look in the mirror. That's the impression I got, look in the mirror. And I knew that her husband, the way he looked at her, the way he felt about her, was identical to the way I look and feel about Janice. And I was able to tell her or express all of these things, and she was like gobsmacked, and she was like, thank you. She knows that he's with her. She knows that he's angry that he crossed over and left her behind. I cried in that reading. That was a very powerful one. So you see, no matter how many rooms you find a key for and you open and you discover new truths and you discover new awareness and new abilities and all of these things, there's another room, there's another key. While you're here, the journey doesn't end. You're still looking for another key. But this is also why, if you'll remember back to the very beginning when you're standing there and he's handed you this scroll and you're like, yes, I can finally start, I can go. He says, no matter what happens, no judgment. Here's the kicker about that. It has two meanings. Meaning number one, you're not going to get judged from your guides and from the beings on the other side of the realm, on the other side of the veil, because you made a wrong turn, or you're taking a long time to find a key to open up the door, or they're going, here you go, or we're going to give you this information. You're like, what the? Yeah, I'll stick over here. No, they don't judge you, but the second part to that is you don't judge yourself. On this planet, there's so many people that judge what they do, who they are, what they look like. You know, you get somebody who's overweight and they're on a diet and they have a feeling in a moment, you know, I want to have this and this is what really, you know, and so they eat something that isn't on their diet, and the next thing you know, they're punishing themselves for the next week and a half. And what ends up happening then is they end up binge eating because they're so disgusted with themselves and they're judging themselves so harshly. No judgment. If you fall down, you get back up. You don't judge other people. You don't tell them that how they're walking their path is wrong. What they're thinking is wrong. You see, they've got their own castle. They have to find their own keys. It may be very similar to your castle, or it may be very different from your castle. Their castle may have 10 rooms. Your castle may have 30 rooms. So, what do you need to do? You find the key. Open the door. Start your adventure. Or better yet, actually discover the fact that you're already on the adventure and you're already halfway through the castle, or you're a quarter of the way through the castle, or whatever. Find the key. Go through the next door. See what's waiting for you on the other side of that door. The grass isn't greener than this side of the door. Don't get me wrong. It's not. But it will give you more information to inspire you, to challenge you, to focus you, to keep moving forward. When we lose the rigidity and we discover that the best way of actually navigating through the castle is through fluidity. You have to be fluid. You have to allow the energy to move. You have to allow the energy to inspire. You have to follow the clues. Be a detective. The more you discover, the more you actually give to other people. It's about trusting your heart and your instincts. Yesterday, it was a very interesting situation. there are some people here in Newtown that sit and they beg every day. And on an occasion, on a rare occasion, I've had the impression, to give them something, and I have at that time. I don't give just simply to give. I give when it feels right, when I'm just, guided to do so. And yesterday, there was a man, Maori, and he was sitting up against this building in Petone, Pitione. Janice and I just went and saw a movie. It was The Lady in the Van. Great movie. Go see it. Mahana. Great movie. Go see it. Anyway, this lady had given him a sandwich or something. And he said thank you and everything, and that was good. And we were walking to the car, and I stopped, and it was like I had $3 in coins in my pocket. It's been in there for about 2 weeks. And I knew what I had to do. And I went up to him, and I put the $3 in his hand, and we did a hongi. For those of you who reside elsewhere, a hongi is a tradition here in New Zealand where you press noses together. I know that the Eskimos do that as well. They call it an Eskimo kiss. The purpose of the hongi is basically you're sharing the essence of life. And so we did a hongi, and I said, Tenakwe, thank you. And I was just guided to do this. My point in the story isn't, oh, praise him, he gave $3 to somebody in need. No. My point is, not everything is as it seems. Not everything is as it appears. Go within, discern, find your truth. The whole point of the way is to allow people to explore their spirituality, to find their truth, to interact with people who are just like them, on their path, looking for their truth, finding their truth, finding the path that's there for them. No judgment allowed in this group. Occasionally I've allowed a little bit to go on just to prove a point. Generally no judgment allowed, no attacking each other, because that's not what this is about. I've had so many people say, oh, this group is so different from anything I've ever seen. There's a reason for that. This group is all about the new energy and the new earth. That's why you're drawn here. Find your key. Explore your castle. Find your truths. Find your awareness. And know you're not alone, and there's no judgment. Each one of you is sacred. Each one of you carries within you the divine spark of God. All it is, source, whatever word you want to use. And it doesn't matter that I tell you this, although it's true. What matters is that you discover that for yourself, within yourself. And you live your life, and you take those steps from that perspective. There are things happening nobody knows about. You have one job. follow your heart. Find your keys, open your doors, and discover what is there for you. And as you do, you assist those native humans who are awakened enough to recognize the lessons being given to them by the volunteers who are on this planet. By your actions, by your words, by your deeds, and by the open doors that you create and walk through. I give unto you my blessings in peace and love. Follow your heart, you sacred people, you. And know that this journey is nowhere near complete. And for many of you, it's just beginning again.